Hi there! I've been a YouTuber for 5 years now and I still don't own a proper tripod, so I had to put this camera on 2 volumes of Dickens, the best of. Now this dude here is delighted to see you. Are you delighted? Are you delighted? How delighted are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
Wow, the audacity.
So I guess this is a wedding fashion channel now. I've already done one video on remaking vintage wedding dresses, and shortly after Princess Beatrice got married, and guess what? She used a vintage wedding dress that she altered, so here I am. And I'm gonna tell you all about it. So I'm not sure if you've watched my video on remaking, altering vintage wedding dresses, but the biggest problem I had with this procedure— oh my god, will you stop scratching the door? What is your problem? So basically the biggest issue I had was that they would alter the dresses to the point where they were basically unrecognizable. Like they looked nothing like the original dresses at all. Like you couldn't even see the same fabric. I don't know, it's kind of fishy. Some people came up with a theory that they actually don't destroy the old dresses, they just make something completely new, and they're like, yeah, so we altered this dress, right? Didn't we? It makes sense because the dresses look nothing like the original dresses. The issue I had with that is that the whole integrity of the dress is ruined forever. It's sad. It's you know, no one's ever gonna see it in the original form again. Now the reason I think Princess Beatrice, I honestly don't know how to pronounce it, so screw it. Why her dress worked. I think it worked. I think it's an alteration done right. It's because the original form of the dress, the original cut, the original pattern is still there. Like it basically, you can recognize the dress. It's not unrecognizable, which is why I think it kind of works. It's not completely the same, which also is a controversial thing. Like if you wear the dress just as it was without altering it, will it fit your figure? Will it look good on you? So here we can see that the designer or whoever's idea that was added some like see-through sleeves that, you know, remind me of those like cute summer blouses that are really hot right now. So I guess that's where the idea came from. You can see how the sleeves were added without cutting the dress. They were just kind of like sewn to the dress without adjusting the straps, without adding anything, without cutting the original structure. It's altering without destroying. It was obviously altered to fit the actual bride because, you know, the original owner of the dress was Queen Elizabeth, who wore it in 1962 a couple of times, I think. First time to the Lawrence of Arabia premiere, I think, and then a couple of times as well. So obviously it wasn't made for the bride, so they had to alter it to make it fit her. And you can see that the structure of the bodice is modernized a tiny bit. Like it's not, the bust is not as spiky as it would be in 1962, and obviously Beatrice is not wearing a special vintage bra with it because it's not supposed to be like an authentic vintage look. So I think the structure of the bodice is a little bit altered, but it's done in a way that it still looks the same, you know, even if it fits another person, it doesn't have to change completely, you know what I'm saying? And you can also see that the skirt, I've read some articles about the skirt being altered because it used to be fluffy and like wide before and now it's not. I think the only thing that was done here was the original petticoat was just not worn. Because you can see in photographs that the dress that Elizabeth wore, the silver embroidery is a bit wider, like it's wider apart from one another. Whereas in Beatrice's dress, the embroidery is closer to one another, which makes it look like it's just, you know, it just did this. So it's not completely changed, it's just that the skirt was not worn as it was originally designed, with a huge fluffy petticoat, potentially a hooped skirt or something. The only like big alteration I've seen being made was the hem. Like there seems to be this strip of satin at the bottom of the dress that wasn't there before. So another thing is how she accessorized the look. If you're wearing a vintage piece, you obviously have to be very careful about using like super modern stuff because it can clash, but at the same time you also have to be careful with using vintage stuff, especially if you're not used to it, because you can feel over the top or you can feel old-fashioned. So she makes a little bit of modern style, which we can mostly see in her hair, which was kind of like let loose, not styled. The veil was quite simple as well, but then she accessorized it all with this gorgeous vintage tiara that was worn for decades by the royal family. So I think it's a really good look, and I think it's gonna age well as well. I'm not a huge fan of the sleeves, but I don't think they clash with the overall silhouette or anything. I'm just personally, I would just leave it without the sleeves, but that's just my opinion.
That's my opinion!
Which obviously does not affect the bride's choices. I don't think Princess Beatrice is gonna get pissed because I don't like the sleeves, right? Overall, I think it's a good example of how you can wear vintage pieces with class and how you can respectfully alter the original design to make it fit your requirements or style more without like actually damaging the piece. So yeah, you can use her as an example in your wedding looks, and see you soon.